Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another Brony Debates Live. I hope you're all doing well out there. Let's get a good start to the weekend. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I know absolutely jack squat about, but our good friend Concert Cruizer here was really insistent that we tackle this topic. He's really passionate about this subject. He has a lot he wants to say, so we're doing this for him. I'm gonna take a bit of a back seat today. I'm going to be doing a lot of listening and learning and asking as many questions as I can. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about the ethics of collecting. And Cruiser himself had a few questions specifically that he wanted to tackle while we were talking about this tonight. So let's get some introductions out of the way real quick, and then we'll figure out exactly what we're doing with that. So first of all, we got Concert Cruizer joining us tonight. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Thanks for letting me do this.
Yeah, honored. And you dragged along a special guest with us tonight, and
Yes.
this is Irving. How are you doing tonight, Irving?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Irving.
Well,
And what do you specialize in?
I specialize in everything. Well, I've been doing collectible toys for 47 years. Been raised, collecting toys since I was a little 6-year-old. My uncle worked for Topper Toys in Philadelphia, and he used to bring me cases of Johnny Lightnings back in 1969, 70, 71. And so on and so on. Collected Migos, superheroes, marks from the 60s. Yeah, been doing this for quite a long time. Love collecting toys.
Sounds like it.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
Alrighty then. And you've got this banner that you had me put up. That's it says UltraCon. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. UltraCon is a Comic-Con where, we bring celebrities, from all genres, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Full Metal Alchemist, My Hero Academia, a little bit of everything. And like I say, we provide this for all the fans all around the United States. There's a Comic-Con.
And you even got someone from Ninja Turtles coming too, right?
Oh, yeah. We have Kevin Nash, which he is Super Shredder from the second movie. And we have Ernie Reyes Jr. He is also the stunt double of Donatello in the first movie, and he's also the pizza delivery boy in the second movie, in the opening credit. Kino, yep. Oh, look at that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to be there.
Now, the first live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990 is unironically one of my ultimate favorite movies. Like it's in my top 5. Anyway, we've also got DJ Skywalker joining us tonight, who is on mute. There he is. How are you doing tonight, DJ?
Greetings and bienvenue, everybody.
Yeah.
Have fun tonight.
And we've got the returning champion here to defend his title, Mr. Pony Cordero. How are you doing tonight, sir? It's been a little bit.
You tried to get rid of me, but I couldn't stay away forever. I'm finally back.
Yep, I had one too many edgy takes that he wasn't able to respond to, and had to make time for the stream. So anyway, Cruiser, tell us about the topic and why you wanted to talk about this so badly.
Don't you have to read off some Patreon names?
Thank you. I mean, I caught myself in the middle of saying that sentence, but I was just going to roll with it and then do it after. But since you're giving it back to me, I'm going to thank you for that and thank my patrons for making my bills easier to pay and my content easier to produce, especially those on the $10 and up tier, such as Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, Kyle Christensen, DJ Skywalker, who's with us tonight, Rein-Kun, Morningstar, Pony Cordero, who's also with us tonight, QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Kanto Acrylic VA, I Can Talk, I Went to College, Zoroark 720, and Dark Malcontent, author of the Metaverse series. Check out all their links in the description. They make some pretty good content themselves. And if you'd like to be on the show, I'd love to have you. Let's just get you on the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Now that that's out of the way, Cruiser, tell us about the topic.
Okay, I'm someone who has been collecting things for a while, mostly autographs, and as Irving said, he mostly does toys. And while it's a lot of fun, there is, I think there is something that pardon me. Sometimes I think people can go a bit too far. I think there are certain guidelines and rules that perhaps maybe people don't know or maybe question, and that's what I'm hoping to cover with tonight's topic. So, with that being said, the first thing that I talked about, this was actually before we won the air, is the notion with autograph collecting and whether or not having an autograph that's personalized to someone is really worth considerably less. Because according to most people, yeah, it's worth less, or at least considerably less, because it's made out to someone. It's no longer, free for anybody to enjoy because it's got someone else's name on it and not yours. However, some people believe that it shouldn't, who cares? It's still his signature. So what if it's not made out to me? It's still an autograph by whoever this is that I like. And these people have a point too. So it kind of makes me wonder, who's right in this? Because both have a point.
Okay.
This is not what I thought the debate was going to be about tonight.
Oh, there's going to be more. Trust me. We're tackling a few different.
Oh, this is just part one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start there. So, Cruiser, break all of that down to a simple question and ask it, and then we'll go from left to right on the thumbnail and collect some opinions.
Okay. Is having a personalized autograph of, again, the signature, like, it's not personalized to you, it's to someone else, is it really worth considerably less, even though it's still the person's name? It's still the person's autograph.
Cordero, what do you
100%.
think? Well, let's go to Cordero first. Cordero, what do you think?
I would say monetarily, definitely. Like if it's a personalized one, the monetary value is going to go down because it has that person's name on it, unless it's like a famous person making out a signature to another famous person, or there's some kind of like really, really popular story behind that specific signature or something that a lot of people know about. Anything that could add like extrinsic value, because we're talking about the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic value. Intrinsic would just be sort of a raw monetary value based on utility of something, whereas extrinsic value is more of like what can be added to it. Usually it has some kind of story or history or significance to it that people care about. And one thing you could also argue is that all collectible signatures is extrinsic value, because you would only care about a signature if you care about who signed it. So you could argue that all of it is intrinsic value, but when it comes to, I think the way it works out practically when you're looking at a marketing standpoint, everybody who cares sees the value in a signature of a famous person, at least for the people who care about that famous person in that sphere. But once the famous person puts a specific person's name on it, well, now the intrinsic value has gone down for most people who are not that individual person. However, as far as extrinsic value goes, or more specifically personal value, if you have something that's been personalized to you, that's worth more to specifically you than anyone else on the world. And that's something you probably treasure and keep forever. So I agree from a monetary standpoint that a personalized autograph, the resale value is going to go down, but your personal extrinsic added value skyrockets when something is personalized.
So I think part of that question there might have been more geared towards the resale value. What do you think in that case, Cordero?
It goes down, period.
All right. DJ, do you have any thoughts?
Not quite at the moment yet. I want to hear some more first.
All right. Irving, what can you tell us about the situation?
Yeah, I'm going to put my wife, she's right here next to me, as convention owners. I mean, we could give you a really good, explanation. I'm gonna put Vicky on. Vic, go ahead,
Oh,
baby.
I forgot your wife was joining us and didn't
Yep.
introduce her. I'm so very sorry for
Oh,
being
that's all
rude.
right.
Would
I'm
you
behind the scenes anyway.
would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Vicky. I am married to Irving, and we've been together for 6 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep. So what do you think?
Okay, in this particular topic, this is a passionate topic for me personally. When it comes to autographs for resale, no, they cannot be personalized. Unless, let's say you have a signed letter or an autograph from like JFK written to Marilyn.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
That's different because that proves a historical thing, or it proves a conspiracy theory, or it proves something else. But for just resale, like a signed 8x10, nah, it just needs to be their signature with a COA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's a
Well,
COA?
Certificate of Authenticity.
Oh, okay. And where would you get something like that? Like
There are several companies that's what they do. They
Really?
authenticate.
Yeah, JSA, I know, is one of them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
CAS is another.
PSA. There's CGC. There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me briefly how the process of authenticating works?
Go ahead, baby.
Who are you directing that to me?
Yes.
Just so I don't talk over people.
Whoever can answer, really. But yeah, just tell me a little bit about that process. And
Well, JSA is, for instance, a company that we deal with, so that's why I can speak to what they do. They collect signatures. They have them in their computer. They're able to analyze signatures that were not done in front of them. So they can tell the authentication of the signature based on the pen, based on the pressure, based on several different details of the signature.
Mm-hmm.
And they are at several events to witness signatures. So if they witness somebody signing something, they'll put a certificate of authenticity on it.
And you could go to their database, and that serial number will be there as an authentication. They have over 1 million signatures in their database, which is far beyond anything out there.
Yeah, I do know that some of these people do have like a really like high powered magnifying machine that will actually like look at the ink flow of the pen, and as you said, the pressure that was used on it, because no two signatures are identical.
Correct. They also can tell, like Babe Ruth, they can tell if it was done early in his career, after he started drinking, if he was, it's amazing the things that they can tell.
Interesting.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So these people are out there to catch to catch fakers.
Correct.
And they do all the time.
A lot. A lot.
Now, going back to this whole thing with autographs here, and being if it's worth less if it's like a personalized on an 8x10. But one thing I've seen people do is that they'll take like maybe an X-Acto knife and a ruler and carefully cut out the signature and put like a fresh 8x10 on a frame and then the signature beneath it and get this whole thing framed. So it's like so it seems like there's a way around it being personalized, and you can still make more profit off of it. So if that's the case, then why should it matter if it's personalized?
That's a tough one. I guess that's more of a personal preference. I mean, there are some things that I've had autographed that are directly to me because it's more meaningful to me, but I'm not a reseller. If we were resellers, then no, I don't want it personalized.
Yeah, I've seen people who have resold autographs, myself including, because there are times when I have too much and I need to let some of this go. But there are some people who will put in the effort to bring that value back up. I've seen that there's an autograph collectors group on Facebook called RAC. I think it's a the real rare autograph collectors club. And there are some people who will even just get like 3x5 index cards signed, just so they can do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Mm-hmm. So again, it just seems like if you can still make like X amount of money off of it, then, but like granted, you have to go through a lot of steps to bring that cash value back up. Then I don't see why it would matter if it's personalized or not.
Well, to give you an example, just talking about the index card, we purchased a Val Kilmer signature that came with an 8x10, or maybe it was an 11x17. I don't remember what it was, but it's in a beautiful frame. And I look at that thing all the time and I go, man, I wish it wasn't on a 3x5. I wish the signature was on the actual picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because me personally, I don't like them on 3x5s like that.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to bring up, people, is that there's no real set value for how much an autograph is worth. Unlike, say, baseball cards that have like a catalog that tells you how much a certain card and what condition is worth, this is really how much does the person like the celebrity. So this one is kind of tricky. But so it just seems with this one, it's at least when it comes to autographs, it's too subjective to tell. That seems to be what I'm getting at. What I'm realizing here. It kind of depends on who signed it, what signed, framing. This one is like, I think it's just so subjective. You can't really come to a solid conclusion on it. But that being said, let's focus on what you know best, Irving: toys. I would, when it comes to toys, I would think one issue would probably be, just like with autographs, is fakes, or perhaps maybe reproduction parts. Is that an issue in that club?
Yeah, it's mammoth. It's gotten worse in the last 5 years.
Really?
Oh God. Yes.
How so?
Weapons. I'm talking about weapons. They're reproducing figures, guys. Action figures. Stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. They're reproducing these things, I mean, so well. I mean, it is really, really scary out there, guys. Very, very scary what they're doing. I mean, there's some people that have these 3D printers, man, that they spend, 10, 15, 20, $30,000 a printer, and they make toys like if they were, in China. You know what I mean? Mass producing. Just as good.
So let me go ahead and ask this here to the panel here. Say you have a rare Transformers toy, a rare Optimus Prime, but it's missing a piece. It's missing an arm or something. And I do know there are some people who will actually sell parts on eBay. But let's say you find someone who has a reproduction of that missing arm. Is that ethical in this collecting?
No, not at all.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, no. Me, personally, I collect G.I. Joes. I mean, I collect everything. And unless I have an authentic, it's authentic, I will not even bother at all.
Cordero, what do you think?
That's an interesting one, because like if you have the technology to recreate it, so with like even to a trained eye you can't tell the difference between a remastered one or a repaired one and an original.
They've gotten really good.
They've gotten really good. Yeah, this gets into philosophy, because it's like, well, if you've recreated it so it's just like the original, what's the problem? But then you're also inflating the market of something that had value partially because of how old it was and how well it was maintained. So yeah, that's a tough one. On the surface, I tend to agree. Like, oh yeah, that's unethical. You're tainting a market. But some people who like to make money might justify it, saying, hey, I'm fixing a problem. I'm eliminating scarcity and remaking these things that people want. I'm making them better again. What if it was like not a 3D printer, what if somebody was like restoring things, because there is like a market for people who restore stuff, and they like took their time to like buy the materials and craft something. It probably wouldn't be toys and figures, but like maybe other things that you can repair with, like, you know, a trip to Joanne's and knowledge and know-how.
If I may interject
that-
with
no.
if I may interject
no,
with
that's custom. That's custom work. Custom
Okay.
work is not the same as original. No.
So let me interject with a question here real quick, because that logic does not apply to cars. For example, restored like old Camaros and Corvettes and stuff that was a rusted nothing in a junkyard can still go for hundreds of thousands or sometimes even $1 million. So is there a difference between what's the difference between?
It matters how you restored it.
Okay.
If you have like a classic car from like the 70s or 60s or 40s or something, and you restore it, it matters if you restored it with era relevant parts,
And it is marketed that way.
Yeah, or if you restored it with modern. Like, it does matter how you restore a classic car.
It matters huge in the car market. Huge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you have like, I have like a 57 Bel Air, you know, and you're saying, hey, it's all parts are original parts, or at least refurbished original parts on here, or you have a 57 Bel Air and almost every piece of it is you know, made from the last 5 years. Like, that's a completely different car from a collector standpoint.
Angel of Speed is in the chat saying this is like the ship of Theseus.
Yes, I was about to make that reference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, DJ, do you have any comments or questions about what we've discussed so far?
I can definitely see a lot of the issues. I mean, I don't really have a lot of experience in the collecting world. I just kind of grab what I like. But
Well, thank God I'm not alone.
I mean, if I like it, I'll get it. I don't care if it's a refurbished or not, unless I'm going to be super picky on something. But it's usually on a case by case. But I can definitely see where there's the issues with reproductions and custom work and whatnot. The issue always comes down to is whether or not they're being honest for what they're selling. Because a lot of like the Kenner Star Wars toys, I know those are a big one that have been coming back as remakes and whatnot. But at least as far as I've been made aware, they're pretty honest that it does say it's a more recent toy.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean the next person who sells it will be.
Well, if it's unboxed, yeah.
Okay, that's actually interesting. I never really thought of that. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say is like a lot of it just relies on the honesty of the seller.
Which is one of the biggest crux of the problem here is honesty with people. I mean, if anyone's ever seen Pawn Stars, there's a reason why Rick always brought in an expert.
Yeah.
He can't trust anybody.
And even those experts can be captured or not know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, Irving, with going back to toys here, would you say there are some things or some toys that people kind of blow out of proportion, thinking that maybe they're worth more than they really are, and they tried?
Yeah. It's in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like for you, like what would you say is perhaps one of the biggest problems you guys face in the collectible toy market?
Reproduction.
And
Fakes.
even if they're advertised as reproductions, do you think is that still a problem?
Yeah. Oh God, yes. Because there's people out there. I mean, let me give you an example. I collect Dragon Ball Z. I mean, we collect pop. Me and my wife, we both collect Funko Pops. We have a pretty intense collection. We have over 14,000 pops between us both.
Holy heck!
And yeah, we're serious collectors. And if you go online and you look at Lord Beerus, the metallic, okay, there is 95% of the Lord Beerus that are metallic. Okay, it sells for $230, $250, $300. They have them on there, you know, that are reproduction, and they're trying to make the same money. And the detail is in the arm. The detail is in the arm. The arm, if it's towards outward instead of being towards his body, okay, the one that is towards his body is real. The one that is outward is a reproduction, fake China. And you'd be surprised how many people on eBay are selling these to the uneducated eye, and it is terrible. Terrible, guys. Terrible. What's going on?
So why is it terrible? Who exactly are we hurting? I mean, I know that sounds ignorant, but I genuinely don't know. Like, what, where exactly is the quandary there?
The 12-year-old that wants the pop.
Okay.
You know, the uneducated person that wants that particular item, they're being scammed out of hundreds of dollars and inflating the price of the real ones.
Interesting.
Because if you think about it, in this particular case of the Lord Beerus pop, that pop, is going for $200, let's say. If there's a bunch of fakes out there, then that will either drop the market, or it'll inflate the market so much that people couldn't get a real one if they wanted to.
Mm.
And, here's, this 12-year-old kid that just wants this, because he might be going to a convention and want it signed or whatever the case may be, and this kid can't get it. So
then how likely is that... Okay, I never mind. I was about to ask a really silly question, but I see now that the issue is more in the driving up of the price. So it's keeping the casual market. Yeah, it's keeping the casual hobbyist out of it. Is that?
And want to sell it in a couple of years to pay for his college or whatever the case may be. It is an investment, and if you have a fake one, then it's basically you're being scammed, just like any other of these scams out there.
Now, what's your take on though with when people release like anniversary figures? Would you say these are just as valuable, or you think people should just ignore and move on?
Ignore and move on.
Really? How so?
Like, for instance, the only one I can think of right offhand is because I just saw it today, is the retro Star Wars that are coming out. Was it the mail-away 4-pack that came out in the 70s?
Yeah.
That they're doing the retro one of? It's like, blah, why?
Yeah, they're reissuing.
The retro G.I. Joes, why?
Cordero, do you have any thoughts on this? Because what if it's like someone who missed out on that, someone who wasn't born until much later?
Yeah,
but it's not the same.
It just depends on what frame of view you're coming into it. Are you coming into it as a collector? Or are you coming into it just because you want it on your shelf? Yeah, I mean, you might as well argue, do you open toys or do you leave them closed? It's the same thing.
What's the difference between a collector and someone who just wants it on their shelves after Cordero answers the question?
Oh, I was gonna say the anniversary stuff. That's usually nostalgia bait. Like sometimes, depending on the product and the property you're talking about, like anniversary editions might matter. But I think in most cases, it's nostalgia bait. Remember this? We remade it. We printed it again.
Yay!
So, a friend of the show here, Lio Convoy, also has a channel talking about collecting toys, especially like 1980s nostalgia of the typical G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, things like that. And he's had a few videos recently talking about how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles especially seems to be doing a lot of just saturating their own market with re-releases and like I said, I don't know anything, but by what he's saying, it's not very good recreations of their own thing. So the question I had a second ago was, what is the difference between a collector and like a serious collector and a casual collector? Like, what is the difference between a collector and someone who just wants it on their shelves, like Vicky said a moment ago?
Money.
Okay.
Bottom line, it's all about the money.
Well, it's in almost everything. It's all about the money. But what is like? What makes
Well,
it?
what is your intent? Did you buy this item with the intent on 20 years from now using this as, getting some money out of it? Or did you get, like you said, if you want it just because you want it, then do whatever you want. But if you're doing it as financial purposes for future, then that's a big difference.
Interesting.
Yeah, I always called this, and this is what I thought the crux of the talk was going to be about tonight, and maybe it will end up being. This is the difference between collectors and investors, basically, because collectors tend to be there can be overlap between the categories, but collectors tend to be enthusiasts who actually like the hobby or property or thing that it's from, and they want it because they want it on their shelf. Partially because it's a thing they like and because it's valuable, a little bit of both. Whereas an investor is somebody who's like, oh, I see that these things are valuable and their interest in them is going to go up. Therefore, the value is going to go up. I want to get in on it early so that I can get a good return on my investment later. And investment people, it's not always the case, but investment people tend to be disinterested in the hobby and the actual thing. They just see a money-making opportunity.
And funny enough, I would still trust that more than I trust the stock market in any capacity.
True.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
No, but feel free to go ahead and expand upon that, Cordero, because I know we can move on to that part of the crux of the ethics of collecting. So go on.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, the problem I thought we were going to get to, or that I've seen, especially coming up recently and throughout history, is disingenuous or unethical investors coming into a hobby or a pastime that they are not interested in. They just see a money-making opportunity, which on the surface is fine, but they're coming in and they're buying up all the stock. They're cornering the market and then artificially raising prices by making an artificial scarcity because they're all in the hands of investors. And now the enthusiasts and collectors who actually want these things because they like them can't even access them or have to pay exorbitant prices just to get their hands on a thing that they liked and used to be priced reasonable. And then the investors cash out, the bubble pops, and the hobby is left in ruin. Or best case scenario, hopefully it returns back to normal when all the investors leave when the bubble parts. And basically, the investors are making these artificial market bubbles, which is a tale as old as time, or at least as old as tulips in the 1600s.
I think that was a big thing with comic books when a lot of the variant cover things were going big in the 90s.
Yeah, comic bubble, coin collecting.
I think
bubble.
that one kind of reversed because those ended up being completely worthless even to investors.
Well,
like I said,
with
sometimes they leave the hobby
cards.
in ruin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's so many things. Sports cards, Pokemon cards,
Magic.
all of these things. They're Funko Pop for that matter.
Funny
because
thing,
you're only allowed so many of them, and there's so many of these resellers and so many of these scalpers that are able to get 6 and 7 of the same pop when you're really only supposed to get 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny thing
and
about
that is a problem for collectors.
Yeah, funny thing about Magic the Gathering, and I happen to know from one of my other friends that that in the Pokemon card community right now, scalping is a huge issue, and especially in like 2020 and 2021, held up, just completely ruined the market and made it impossible for anyone to really participate, really. But the Magic the Gathering one is really interesting because I played Magic the Gathering for a while, and I know the story of the Mox Ruby and the Black Lotus and things like that, right? And this one time I saw a picture of a baby, right? Like just somebody's baby with a Black Lotus in his mouth, and it's like, yo, you just let your kid eat his college tuition.
Basically, yeah. Unironically.
And I don't think anybody from Wizards of the Coast back in 1993 thought that this random card in their deck was going to be one of the most valuable playing cards of all time. kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's really
You're
interesting to see how these things evolve in such a way. What were you saying?
No, you're 100% right on that.
Mm-hmm.
Magic the Gathering, they never thought it was going to, be as valuable.
Did really,
Pokemon either. Yeah, Pokemon either. Yeah.
Well, let me ask. Go ahead.
Actually, I'll give it back to you, Cruiser. Take it away.
Well, let me ask you this, because this has actually been kind of bubbling up under the radar here as of late, and that's NFTs.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems to be like it seems what these things are basically just virtual baseball cards. Now,
Yeah.
it seems interesting, but however, yeah, you could just make a screen cap of virtually anything. What exactly is it that gives these things value, and are they even worth it?
You're
That's
not
a
even
loaded
buying
question.
them; you're buying the receipt to them.
Right. I mean, in
Especially
my
printing
opinion, I
certificates of
don't know
authenticity.
anything. Yeah, I don't know anything about those things, but I don't like them.
Yeah, we're not interested in nothing like that.
Yeah, this whole thing, this new notion of like virtual collectibles, it just seems way too sketchy for me.
And there's
Yeah,
no way
I'm
to
with
there's no way to enforce the scarcity. Like
Well, it's basically they're trying
Yes,
to
there
make
is.
a gotcha game out of real life.
Cordero,
Yeah.
what you
Yep,
said?
yep.
You said yes, there is. Can you explain that to me?
Well, you can enforce the scarcity on a particular NFT. You can't control the scarcity of just somebody making their own NFT over and over again, like another one. But a non-fungible token is basically a proof of scarcity or ownership using the blockchain. Because what makes crypto, part of what makes crypto valuable is that it's not reproducible. Like the only way to make more of the virtual coin is through the blockchain mining, which is a very long and complicated process that takes a lot of computing power in order to do that. So that's what creates the scarcity. And basically what they did with non-fungible tokens, NFTs, is they use that technology to make something not reproducible. And by that, and basically it's like a proof of ownership. Like imagine if you owned the original Mona Lisa and it was sitting in your house, and and Interpol is not knocking on your door. And it's the original Mona Lisa, and you had all of the authentication certificates and all of that proving that this is definitely the original article. That's basically what an NFT is, but digital. So I can download a picture of the Mona Lisa. I can get a print of the Mona Lisa and make it look like it's on oil and canvas, like print out something that kind of looks like the original painting, put it in a frame that looks like it might belong in the Louvre. I do not have the original Mona Lisa. You can right-click save an NFT. Like, oh, here's the image. I just right-click saved and put it in my folder. Lol, so much for non-fungible. But you don't have any of the blockchain authenticity showing that it's actually the original or part of the series. So the idea of NFTs was really good because like, oh, let's make a proof of ownership digital. And that's what they did. Unfortunately, the first thing that immediately happened, and of course it did, of course this would be the first thing that happened, is a bunch of like scam and get rich quick bubbles that like it basically made an NFT market bubble started popping up. Oh, here's my ugly monkey. Here's my limited ugly monkey NFTs, and here's all of this. People are just making random NFTs, and it's like, great, it's non-fungible, and you have proof of ownership, but what is adding the extrinsic value? Remember how I started with intrinsic and extrinsic value, and how collectible goods, you can argue, are 100% extrinsic value? Same with NFTs. The way they are right now, people are basically trying to print extrinsic value and saying, hey, it's an NFT. NFTs are a new thing, and they're fun, and they're collectible, and the value's going to go up. Everybody should get in now. And it was just the fastest market bubble you could possibly imagine that, of course, was going to get crazy. And it seems to have popped or be popping right now, which I think is a good thing, so that everything can come back down to reality, and that anybody's random NFT should not have any value, intrinsic or extrinsic or otherwise. Like an NFT or a limited edition or something should have value because there's a reason that it has value. Like all of these other hobbies of things that we collect.
Right.
Where there's value in the object or value in the
Let me stop you there,
behind it.
Cordero. Just because it's going on for a while. Let me just say this real quick about the subject, and then we should get back on topic. Is I don't like anything digital, And maybe it's because I'm a dinosaur, or maybe it's just because I prefer things to actually be real. I don't even like the fact that we're not on the gold standard. And things like that. Things. Anything digital just isn't real, and I don't want any part of it. And with NFTs, like, people were just taking stuff that, like, wasn't theirs and then claiming they owned it. Like Golden Fox's channel, somebody was trying to sell that as a freaking NFT. Listen, I would kill somebody if they thought if I got a letter someday, just random letter saying, "Hey, I own your YouTube channel because I bought this NFT." Multiple people would meet their end that day. But anyway, let's get back to the actual topic here.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to just add on is that for me, like, anything digital is too sketchy, because I mean, I have a collection of like 300 plus CDs here, and I get that it's way more convenient to stream. I understand that, but I have no reason to trust the company that nothing's going to happen to this stuff, to those songs, because Korn, for example, did a cover of Metallica's One. Pretty cool song. So I go look it up on Spotify. I can't listen to it. It's not on there. Luckily I have the CD. Nothing's going to happen to that. Or, when Netflix swaps out, their movies for, every month or so. And now we got Disney Plus, who are censoring their old movies. So it may be convenient, but for me, it's just too sketchy.
So let me shift the topic here and go over to Irving. And Irving, what kind of other issues do you see in collecting in your realm of things, in toys and figures and things like that? Can you give us any more insight to that?
Just a lot of newbies, collectors that are gotten into the market for all the wrong reasons. And all of a sudden they're toy experts, and they just been into it maybe just a couple of years.
Well, that's just typical Dunning-Kruger syndrome type of thing there. But what are the wrong reasons?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. What do you think, baby?
I like defining my terms.
Resellers are the problem. Resellers think these people are the problems. I think it just depends on your point of view.
Yeah. Everything is the point of view. Your point of view.
Okay, but you said getting into it for the wrong reasons, but then we don't have a definition of the wrong reason. Pardon me, but I'm a little confused.
Yeah, it's just people taking advantage of the opportunity of the hobby in making money, and price gouging everything.
Okay, so I would have called that a grifter.
Yeah, yes, or like we say, scalpers.
Yes,
Scalper, grifter, things like that. Well, grifter denotes more of the intention. Scalper denotes more of the method. If I'm, as far as I can tell. So, Cruiser, there were other like subtopics and questions that you had for tonight here. We just lost Cordero. I'm sure he'll come back.
What would you say collecting has become a problem for someone?
My wallet can't afford it.
Treat like any other addiction. The moment you treat it more importantly or put more value on it than actual necessities in life, like taking care of your family or meeting your bills or keeping or staying fed or keeping your shelter. When you start selling off things or neglecting real world responsibilities, that's when, it becomes an addiction. And addiction of any kind is a mental illness that needs to be treated like one.
Here's another one here, because this is actually one that I don't think really gets talked about. And I firstly call this cutting your loss. People bought something that was valuable, it perhaps no longer is, and they're still trying to get that kind of money out of it.
They never will.
Yeah, but that is a problem, though.
Yeah,
you see it on eBay every day.
Mm-hmm. So people need to learn to just accept the loss. Then, basically.
Agreed.
Yes.
It's just like any kind of investing.
You go into this with a certain risk.
Yeah, because I think you could easily list off Beanie Babies as one of those. I mean, people were collecting those things like mad when they came out, but now they're like worthless. What do you? What was your take on that whole thing?
Okay, I was the Beanie Baby person back in the 90s.
Shame.
I was the one saying, I'm going to retire on these things, and I spent the money, and I lost the money.
That was all artificial, wasn't it? Like, it was never really something that was expensive, at least from what research I've seen on it.
There's a documentary, and I can't remember where I saw it, that talks about, I think there's 3 or 4 housewives that basically created the market. And I don't remember where I saw it, but it was a very interesting documentary. I'm like, oh, I can see how I totally fell for that.
And it's not the first time, because I've seen in recent years a lot of people have been trying to make the Disney VHS ones, the clamshells and whatnot. They've been trying to make those valuable.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've got a literal closet full of those. My parents have a literal closet full of those back in New York.
Yeah, I remember someone.
That's always been the thing, though.
I think they're also kind of hoping that because it's Disney, it'll be worth something. I doubt it. If anything, a lot of people have been losing faith in Disney as well.
That's a whole other topic.
Now, before we go into viewer questions, what would you say are things people should be on the lookout for? Like how would you say you can spot a fake?
Wow. That's so many little minute details to just
YouTube
knowledge.
Knowledge. YouTube. Yeah. There's a lot of people on YouTube. If there's a certain toy line that is out there, investigate. Be diligent and find out what you're going to be investing, what you're going to be collecting. Find out what's going on and what you love, what your passion is.
And buyer beware.
Yep. Buyer beware.
A question I'd like to ask is, should anybody try to get into it as into collecting as a side hustle, or should it exclusively be entered with the mindset of a hobbyist?
No, I mean, if you go into it with the mindset of a hobbyist and you make money out, congratulations. But I don't think that without having the proper knowledge base, you should never go into anything to make money without knowing what you're doing.
Yep.
Whether that's, mowing lawns or collecting toys or anything, you should know what you're doing.
So how do you know what you're doing with something as risky as collecting?
You will get burned. I mean, there's no way around it.
So there's no way to, there's like no tips you can give somebody for that. It's just kind of, you gotta take the risk and learn from experience.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because there are so many things out there to learn, you just have to learn by failure.
All right. So what that's telling me as a very practically minded person is don't. Like, if you're going to do it, just don't. But I kind of like the hobbyist mentality more. It's like, I enjoy this kind of thing, so I'll partake in it.
If you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it sounds like, I mean, it wasn't as direct of an answer, and I don't know if this was your intention, but I asked, should anybody try to get into it as a side hustle? And ultimately, based on what you said, I would guess the answer is no.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want to discourage anybody from trying to have a side hustle because, you go out and, do what you want to do. But just know what you're doing. Don't just jump into something because it's popular.
And don't feel bad if you get burned.
And you will.
Yeah.
I mean,
make peace with that by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is.
Don't buy something if you're not willing to take the risk.
This has been educational for me so far. By the way, Cordero had to cut out of the stream. I'm not sure what's going on, but I think he's got like house guests over. So anyway, was there anything else we wanted to tackle before we get into audience participation?
Well, let me ask this one question, because I always hear toy collectors talk about this. They say if you buy a toy, take it out of the box. Where do you stand on this?
Oh God, no. I used to open more than 60% of my toys because I like playing with toys, guys. I like playing with toys. I'm an adult and I play with action figures. You know, toys are made to be played with.
No,
and
they're not.
and I learned my lesson after collecting for 40 something years not to do that. And I thank my wife for that, because I used to open stuff up like, okay, there's a package, open it up. Like my kids, when, you know, back in the 80s, G.I. Joes, when they would get a glider, you know, it cost them $7.99, $8.99 on the glider, G.I. Joe glider. You know, open one, put it together, boom, pop. You know, you throw it up, because those gliders were terrible, made out of very thin styrofoam, and it would burst when it would, you know, would land. Okay, get another one. You know, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And I wish I had all those gliders now. You're talking about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 each.
Ooh.
Or more. Yeah. Oh God, yes. Oh God.
Well, I guess that's why you buy two, you know. But for me,
No,
I've lived a very nomadic life, and I've had to be very minimalist for most of my adult life. So like collecting certainly it would have been impossible for me, especially the times when I was like living out of my car. Like there's no way I would have been able to, if I collected everything I was into, I would have never had anywhere to store it. So there's a practical issue right there.
Like my wife could tell you.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I get that, but I'm a completionist. I want everything, and I want everything perfect.
DJ, did you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Well, I just wanted to say, as a hobby collector myself, everything comes out of the box. Nothing. The box never gets saved unless I think I like the box's art. I still take it out of the box. I just set the box aside and put it in the closet.
Yeah, like over at my house, my girlfriend has a few of the Kotobuki My Little Pony figures, right? The ones that were made into, you know, really.
I have all of those.
Yeah.
Except the alternate colors.
Right. So those are all out and sitting on the shelf. I think she saved the box from rarity because, you know, but so let me ask you this real quick. If toys are meant to be played with, but also how do we reconcile the difference of toys are meant to be played with, but also don't take anything out of the box?
Oof, that's a tough one. I mean, that's tough.
I can't, because
That
to
is
me,
tough.
even as a kid, it was like, nope, put it up on the shelf and look at it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
It just seems like it just comes down to what you said earlier. Just buy two.
But no,
Yeah, but Irving
I
didn't
still
like
can't-
that idea. But Irving didn't like that idea.
Well,
No,
for me,
No, because I don't buy two. I buy 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50.
Okay, so thank you for being part of the problem.
I'm not joking. It's the truth.
Well, what he's saying is you're the reason why people can't find anything.
Hey, you said I'm just comparing what you're saying now to what you said earlier, where like you specifically said earlier, people are buying too many when they should only be getting two.
Yep.
So
Yeah, no, it's just if I like something, I will buy.
To be fair, we wait till it's on clearance and then we'll buy them all.
I guess okay, that makes sense. I guess I can agree with that.
And I've seen what you do on Facebook, Irving. You sell them on your own store.
I used to sell them on Facebook, and I haven't done a live auction in 7 months. Haven't done them in a while. Haven't done them.
We have the shows.
Yeah, we have our Comic-Con that is coming August 27th, 28th, and we're more dedicated to the convention right now than to sell toys. That's our bread and butter.
So, Cruiser, was there anything else you wanted to tackle?
Well, we have a pretty good question here from the audience, or Aleximus Prime. He says, I collect Transformers toys, and there are third-party companies that sell legal upgrade kits to fix issues with official designs. Can this affect resale price?
I say yes.
But you know what? These companies that are overseas that are making these upgrades, they're doing things that Hasbro will never dream of doing. These third parties are making Transformers better than the company Hasbro itself. They're doing quality over quantity. And that is huge. Third party Transformers have been a home run for the past, 15 years? And it's been growing, and growing. And Hasbro does not get it. Since, they don't get it. They don't get it at all. But, third party, that depends on what you want for your collection. You know what I mean? You want to, I guess, buy some extra equipment for yourself, for your personal collection. That's up to you.
So
that's up to you.
We've got a lot of we got a few questions here that I noticed, and most of them are from one Cosma Inspiria. So I'm just gonna read all of those off real quick, and we'll get to those. First question was, I always thought having something personally signed to one made it more precious in a sentimental way. At least an autographed picture I have does to me, and I love it. So that kind of plays into what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's special for just you. Now, if you
correct
want to sell this thing, sometime down the road, I think maybe it's not the sentimentality is gone. It seems the popular notion is that you're not going to get a lot of money out of it, at least if you paid for it.
Out of luck.
There might be a way around that if you're willing to put in the efforts, like getting it authenticated, the whole framing thing that I mentioned. But that requires spending more money.
All right. Were you gonna say something, Irving?
No, go ahead with the.
I mean, to give an example, we have at our convention coming up, we have 7 Dragon Ball Z celebrities that are going to be there at our event. Okay, the majority they sign. It's maybe out of 100, maybe 10, maybe 15 will want it dedicated to them, signed to them. But the majority of the people, they just want it signed.
And you also have to. I got to bring up this point really quick. Let's say, for instance, I have books upon books upon books of 8x10s all signed to me. And then I pass away. And now my children sell these for the quote-unquote estate. They won't get as much value as because now the sentimental part is gone. So they need to sell them for the value, for their inheritance. So that's something me as a parent looks at too. I don't necessarily want it signed to me because of the resale value for my family.
Interesting.
That's a great point.
Let's see here. Cosmin Spira also says, if something is so rare, that's what makes it valuable. If there's more of it, it isn't so valuable anymore. Plus, isn't that rarity also part of the thrill of the hunt?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was another thing that I forgot to mention is I think a lot of people like to get into collecting because of, as they said, the thrill of the hunt. There is something to be said about trying to track something down, and when you finally get it, you're just buzzing with excitement.
Yep.
But, however, sometimes that dopamine can be very misleading.
Yeah, you see, I just
Oh, yeah, then you got to find the next one, then the next one, then the next one.
and we
Yeah.
typically call that addiction. And this is why I was worried about this topic, is because I am an extremely practically minded person. And I'd like to think I always have been, but especially some of the life experiences I've had have just made me minimalistic. I don't want anything that isn't a tool, essentially, that I need to do my job or to make what I do better. And even just looking around the room, I've got one little shelf here on the wall with a few like plushies and pictures and figures on it, and they were all like 3/4 of the stuff on that shelf were gifts. So like I just don't understand that kind of thing. I think the closest I've ever come to really collecting was when I was more into fencing than I am now. So I've got a small collection of swords. But every single one of my swords, even so, has a specific purpose. Like I'm looking at my shelf right now, and at the top is one by Windlass called the Raptor, and it's a fantasy style falchion. And yes, it's a really nice design and can be used for a number of different practical applications. I was also going to actually make a resin cast of it so I could carry it as part of my cosplay that I do it at Brony conventions with. And then below that I've got a katana made out of 1095, and then below that is a curved blade made out of 1060, and then below that is a curved blade but unsharpened, and there's a reason for that too. And then below that there's one that's perfectly straight with no fittings. So all of this stuff had a reason for it, and I'm very like the concept of collecting is just extremely foreign to me. So let's see here. Do you Cosmin Spirit also wanted to know, do we know of any such bubbles that, or have there been any bubbles in collecting with My Little Pony? Because this is predominantly a Brony channel, and we talk about a lot of Brony things here. So have you ever experienced, any of the My Little Pony fandoms throughout the generations and seen any of these bubbles?
No.
Do you think there's a reason for that?
Consistency of product, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. Consistency of product is everything. People cannot buy what they cannot see.
I see.
And I will say, I did see the Netflix series, The Toys That Made Us, and they did do an episode on the My Little Pony toys. And while there was one phrase they kept repeating in that episode, and that was called "Feed the Beast," and that was just like, just keep putting stuff out there, out there. But however, it seemed like it never got too out of hand as, say, like Ninja Turtles, when like they actually did like a birthday party set of action figures. Like that's just seemed really odd. But Pony, they seem to be able to walk that fine balance with the merchandise, how much to put out, how much stock to make. They seem to have had a better grip on that than again, say, Playmates did with Ninja Turtles.
So there's probably not much in the way of bubbles as it comes to the various pony fandoms, but there are some. I can say with confidence that there are some collectors out there. Otherwise, the traveling, pony museum wouldn't be a thing. What was it? There's a pony fair that's meant for like the merchandise of ponies. It's like a convention that happened in Florida a couple of
this year.
Yeah, exactly. And that covers all the generations. So that type of thing is more for collectors and merchandisers and things like that. But definitely
it's not
with
like Pony doesn't have their expensive stuff too.
Right. And but that's what I was building up to, is that's a lot more of the Friendship is Magic sort of thing, the Generation 4 sort of thing, that because it became so popular, it definitely attracted a lot more collectors and definitely inspired a lot more people to collect. So even though I haven't really seen a bubble for that kind of thing, Like you might see some inflation on like some of the convention exclusive figures that are out there. Like you go and you look for the San Diego Comic-Con Maniac one, and that's probably running for a few $100s right now.
You also had the Princess Funkos.
Yeah, Cruiser, you've got a couple of like convention exclusives that would probably run for a pretty penny on eBay right now. Can you tell us what like those would be?
Yeah, I actually do have the San Diego Comic-Con Maniac toys. I do have both. The one with the Equestria Girls form and the pony form. And to be honest, that one seems to kind of fluctuates back and forth between being valuable and not being valuable. To some, it's valuable because it's a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive and it's G4 of My Little Pony. But to others, it's not because the Power Ponies episode I don't think really did much for people. Lord knows I would like to get mine signed because that's just how I roll. But even if they're, but I don't know if those things would actually even go for very much if they were signed. Now, I do know that some of the Funko vinyls, not the pop vinyls, the ones that were show accurate, if you have one of Celestia and Luna, those can go for $300.
Oh yeah, those were hard to track down because by the time I was starting to collect those things were only in test production at Hot Topic for maybe a couple months before they were pulled.
Yeah, and I have a good chunk of them, and some of them are in fact signed, including my Luna and Celestia one. There are others that are side characters that no one really cares much for, that don't go for very much.
I see hers is everywhere. That in the Blue Discord I've been seeing a lot lately.
And perhaps you can also answer to this one here, Irving. Another one was this specially made derpy pony, which was the pony with the messed up eyes. Apparently there was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for her, and when it was released, it went for mad money. However, now not so much. How do they go from such a high price down to just meh?
Supply and demand.
Yeah, I was going to say demand.
Yeah, demand. Supply and demand.
But what about something, because I've heard this term a lot, that's FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You're 100% right there, my friend.
Oh my God, I couldn't get to San Diego. Please get me whatever came from San Diego.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do know that that part of that is the social media influencer culture that way too many people are invested in.
So
yes, you're not wrong.
Cosma and Spear's last question was, I'm assuming she, hopefully has a fun question. Do any of you know an extreme collector, and what is their most extreme collection? So let's hear some extreme collection stories.
What constitutes an extreme collection?
Run with it.
Order.
I collect prototypes.
Yeah, can you move in their house?
No. Oh no, you can't. No, there's no way. There's no way.
Definitely.
No, no, that's us. Yeah, we have no.
So you guys are the hoarders?
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Oh crud.
No, you have no idea.
So for you guys, it is a problem.
This down. It's called Plastic Crack. It's an Amazon toy documentary. Me and my wife Vicky are featured in that documentary.
Oh man.
One of the biggest collectors of My Little Pony, she's on there. She has prototypes unproduced and she's on there.
Now how do you get into prototypes? Sorry to cut you off. But finish what you're saying and then answer, I guess.
Oh, prototypes? Knowing people from Hasbro.
Okay.
Kenner. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, my friends. I have pieces that were unproduced, toys that are unproduced that I have.
Now that's an in.
I have toys that are one of a kind, which is some. Yeah. It's a different field, my friends. But that's what I like. You know, I have a lot of stuff that is one of a kind and unproduced.
Uh,
Yeah.
for me, extreme collecting. I would say that there were times where I got a little too overboard with collecting some of the pony toys because, for me, again, I just like having a signed toy because for me, when I get a toy signed and they sign it with that nice acrylic Sharpie, when you look at it from like the right angle, it almost gives kind of a 3D effect where like the signature is kind of floating in the air. You don't notice the plastic window and you see the toy in the background. It looks really nice and shiny under bright lights. Okay. And little did I know though that not everything is signed is going to be worth money. So while I know Vicky, you're a completionist, you don't necessarily have to collect them all. You can just collect what you like.
No.
Vicky's into. She's in the toy documentary. This was filmed in 2017. You're going to see her Star Trek collection.
Oh dear Lord!
This was like, okay, that was back then, and it is probably quadrupled from back then.
Do you
and
guys,
you guys are going
starting a museum?
and then you're going to see my stuff, which is very overwhelming. And this is back in 2017.
Which episode is that?
It's called Plastic Crack. Toy documentary.
Okay,
well,
so
yeah, I see that, but it's split up into 4 episodes.
Yes, yeah. Correct.
Just watch the whole thing. Forget about it.
Yeah, we're in all 4 episodes.
Alrighty then.
So
it starts with me. It starts with me. The documentary starts with me.
Okay, so Cruiser, what are you saying?
Well, how is it that it's not a problem for you guys?
We have passion for this stuff. We love what we do.
We married the right people.
Yeah.
It seems like from what I can gather, yeah, you have a huge collection of this. However, your finances are still in order.
Oh yeah.
Well, because our collection pays for the bills.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll be damned. Okay.
Yeah, they're one of the lucky few. Don't try this at home, kids.
Okay, we got another question.
The toys to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Okay, we got another question here from Aleximus Prime. What is the most odd thing you have ever seen someone collect?
Band-Aids.
Band-Aids. Please tell me they're not used.
Oh no.
No. Different brands of Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Batman, Superman, My Little Pony, Transformers, Superpowers, 1970s Band-Aids, 60s Band-Aids, 50s, all the way back. Yeah, they're like people that collect lighters.
That
it's yeah. I mean,
jeans.
Those Zippo lighters. Oh my god!
Yeah, I know people who collect jeans.
I just say shoe collectors weird me out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the deeper we, I mean, no offense to the present company, but the deeper we get into this conversation, the stranger I'm finding the idea of collecting. Like I was hoping to be enlightened and understanding, and I'm just like,
No.
It just seems. I'm sorry, but it just seems stranger to me the deeper we get into the conversation.
It doesn't help that the other person living in your house is trying to become a Hello Kitty collector.
Yeah, I know, right? I had to ban her from. I mean, not seriously, but I had to. I was telling her earlier today. That's it. I'm kicking. You are not allowed to use Instagram anymore because you were just spamming all of our group chats with, "Oh my God, I found Hello Kitty shoes. I found a Hello Kitty water bottle," and I'm like, first of all, dear, those shoes are white. You don't wear white shoes outside unless. This is exactly what I said. You don't wear white shoes outside unless you are going to do yard work and you need to show off to everybody else how hard you did your yard work because of how green and brown those white shoes are going to be by the end of the day, right? That's the only. So you're not going to wear those Hello Kitty shoes. And then she's showing me this like Hello Kitty water bottle. I'm like, you already got water bottles. You don't need any more water bottles. So I just,
But
and
Brony, it's got.
oh
cute
my God,
kittens
you
on
even
it.
sound like her. Stop doing that.
But Brony.
I'm going to hurt you, DJ. I'm going to stuff the piranha plant you gave me down your throat, okay? So, and there's a funny story behind the piranha plant. Anyway, I want to move on to another question here. Paladin Pony T says, I collect movie, video game, and TV weapons. Do you guys have any, I'm assuming, weapons? If so, what are they from?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Vicky has Star Trek weapons. I have Thundercat swords. Yeah, Lionel, and I have them signed by Lionel. I had them last year, and Peter Newman, Tigra.
Nice.
Do any of them have Thundercat action?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have Larry Kenny this year. Also, he's gonna be here at our show.
So,
are these the toys? Or are we talking like full scale replicas here?
Full scale replicas. Yeah. I'm talking about full scale sword replicas. Yeah.
So
I don't have anything like that. If anything, I actually want to answer the previous question about do you have any weird things you collect. There was one collection I had. It's kind of not weird, but I guess something that people don't really know about, and that is promo CDs. See, for anybody who wasn't really an active concert goer back in the, we'll say throughout the 90s, a lot of bands or festivals or sponsors would actually release promo CDs. These were like CDs that had a slipcase, maybe 2 tracks on there by a band, and it was used to get the word out about new music or new bands before Spotify and YouTube came around. And I have a big stack of these. They're probably not worth anything, but for me, it was just part of the concert scene that I just didn't want to see get lost in history. This was a way how bands promoted themselves. It was a way to get your music out there when MTV stopped playing it. So, yeah, it's not worth anything, but I just think they're worth remembering.
Oh, absolutely. Sentimental value.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worth more than that. Yeah. Especially when you have something like that in your personal collection.
Mm-hmm. Now, as for what this current question is, not really. I guess one thing I have is a Friday the 13th 8-bit NES game cartridge that's signed by a few of the Jason actors, even though it had like nothing to do with them. Matter of fact, a lot of them didn't even know it existed. And I actually brought it to Sean Cunningham, the guy who created and directed the first movie. He's like, "What the hell is this?" And and for free, he signs it and writes "pirated disc" on it for some reason.
Wow.
Well,
you remember when we met Jason Voorhees back? Yeah. My God, how many years ago was this? That he had a live concert. Remember, we hung out and watched him play.
Yeah, that was my dear friend Ari Lehman.
So hang on a second here, guys. I'm gonna try to win right now because a question we got, the question that we were talking about a minute ago was the strangest collection, and I don't know if this counts, right? But I'm gonna say the strangest collection I've seen was reading a news article about a woman, if you can even call her this, that would collect her used condoms from her one-night stands and showed a picture of her wall just with used condoms pinned to it, and I tell you there was at least 30 up there.
Now, my first thought is, did they stink?
I mean, I wasn't in the room, thank God. If I was in the room, I would have. If I was in the room, I would have had to do God's work. But thankfully, I didn't see it personally. But I don't know. We were talking about the weirdest collections we've seen. Wow. I don't know if that counts, but it's certainly the weirdest thing I've seen that somebody called a collection.
Yeah, that's weird. That is definitely weird.
I collected. Well, no, I didn't collect, but there was because I was talking about I like swords. and there was a brief time that I was into the show Bleach. Now, have you guys seen Bleach?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you know how like
Rim job.
yeah, those swords are really interesting. So I like the sealed Zanpakuto versions where they're just katanas with unique fittings on them. That's what I was, and I had at one point I had a Hyarin Maru, and I had a Bankai or I had a that's not the word for it. I had a Tensa Zangetsu. A Tensa Zangetsu no Dachi. So it was the really long one that Ichigo would wield. And at one point when I was a teenager, like one of the first swords I bought for myself was actually a Final Fantasy VII Buster Sword. But even going back to how practically minded I am, I was thinking to myself, I don't really care about Final Fantasy. I don't know, and to this day I don't know anything about it, but me being into fencing saw this 10-pound stainless steel sword and said weight training. And I would go out there with my it was either 10 or 13 pound stainless steel, as tall as me, Buster Sword, and swing that sucker for as long as I could, which at that age was about 15 minutes. And then my older brother broke the freaking thing at the hilt because they put 13 pounds of stainless steel on a rat-tailed tang. And if anybody in the chat knows anything about swords, that's a horrible idea. So they put 13 pounds of steel on a rat-tailed tang. So then my older brother tried to hit something with it and broke it on the first swing. So, I got I got a few hours of like combined fencing weight training out of that thing, which may or may not have actually benefited. I don't think it actually benefited my technique at all. But yeah, so I had a Hyarin Maru, I had a Tensa Zangetsu, and I had a Buster Sword. Trying to think of do I have anything now? The straight katana that I mentioned earlier that doesn't have any fittings on it, that one's technically a movie replica. I love Zatoichi. Does everybody here know Zatoichi?
No.
Okay, he was a blind swordsman and there was a bunch of movies back in the day, and they've remade him a couple of times or rebooted it a couple of times, but it's the blind swordsman from Japan. And he's got this and he's got like his walking stick that he uses to feel around with, but there's a sword inside of it. And one of the straight katana I have is technically called a shikamizu, translating to prepared cane, and that is a Zatoichi replica. But you need a straight sword like that in order to do one of the drills that I know. A couple of the drills that I know from my first fencing school. So, because you're supposed to grip it by both the hilt and the scabbard at the same time and spin it before you actually draw it. And you're not going to do that with anything with a discard on it. The scabbard's going to go flying. So let's see. I see JJ Doodles is a friend of mine. Says he has a Highlander Claymore. Let's see.
Wow.
Yep. And let's see what else we got here. Doug's Film and TV says, what do you collect from your favorite movie or TV show?
Transformers, G.I. Joes,
Star Trek.
So we got some 80s folks in here. That seems to be the most popular decade to collect from.
Well, I do know from watching the toys that made us, like a lot of the toy sculptors, like they're actually considered rock stars in the toy collecting convention circuit. Because these things were toys long before they were ever there was a series made about them. From He-Man, that was a big one. And the people who designed the toys tend to actually make convention appearances.
Yep.
That was even the case for the early generations of the My Little Pony toys.
Yeah, and the G.I. Joes.
Yep.
JJ Doodle says, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is my big thing. Yeah, that was for a lot of people. That was a toy. That was the toy juggernaut of the 90s.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it hasn't died.
Nope, they must be doing something right.
I mean, the two juggernauts were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
What they're doing right is the actors that did the Power Rangers are still out there every weekend.
I really appreciate that too, because I remember being a kid watching that and thinking, my God, I wish I could meet those people so much, not realizing, about Hollywood or show production or any of that stuff. But when you actually do make the effort to connect with your fans, God, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So I've got a couple of questions. That's all I saw in the from what the audience had posted. I've got a couple of questions for my own curiosity that I'd like to ask here. So going back to autograph authenticity. So, and you guys sort of touched on this for a little bit here, but how foolproof is it if somebody's autograph changes over the years? Like, for example, I don't know why, but people have asked me for my autograph a couple of times, and I've never done it the same way twice. It's not intentional, but I don't have good penmanship. So, how do you tell if somebody's signatures over the years just changes?
Well, it's just like I was saying earlier with the Babe Ruth example.
Mm-hmm.
In his earlier career, it was nice, pretty, and then you sign so many, and you kind of change it a little bit. If you're out drinking,
It changes.
It changes a little bit, and they have examples of actual true signatures because they have the provenance on that.
Yeah,
So they have the examples.
Were signatures and autograph fakes as much of a problem back then?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's even a bigger problem now because there's actually a device out there that would scare anybody who, even if you're a collector or not, and that's an auto pen.
But I'm not talking about now because I know that. But was it as much of a problem in like Babe Ruth's time or 50, 60 years ago? Okay, so it still was.
Not so much. It wasn't. It's a hard thing to say because you have these celebrities that had somebody practice their signature and that person sign a bunch of 8x10s just to get them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Elvis signatures, probably a good 75% of them were done by his secretary.
Mm.
Yeah, and I know, one autograph that people tend to stay away from is actually the Beatles. They didn't do a whole lot of signing, and there was even a case on Pawn Stars where someone brought in what they said was a guitar signed by them. Turns out, no, it wasn't. They just took the security guard, just took the guitar back. They couldn't get to the Beatles, so they just signed it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. How did they figure that out, though?
Well, again, they study the pattern of the ink flow of the pen, from them when they get a real one, and again, that whole notion of an auto pen. Now, granted, I'm not quite sure how well those were used back then, but when I did a video about this, calling out Ozzy Osbourne for selling auto penned pre-ordered of his latest album, and they had 4 different designs to try to confuse people. Yeah. And obviously, if you've seen Ozzy right now, you can tell that he probably has the worst penmanship on the planet. Yeah. So it all just kind of comes down to how they just sign. They'll study the ink flow of the pen, the pressure that was used on there, and they won't study just one signature from the person. They'll study them in a multiple different avenues.
Right.
So as they got older, if they had one for that, if someone was out, drinking, they'll have one for that. Someone who just popped out of nowhere, like, hey, can you sign this? Thanks, bye. Because I've seen the
rush to signature, the one they don't care about.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Nobody better ask me for a signature ever again, because here's what I'm going to do in the future. I'm just going to keep an ink pad on me, like a giant ink pad, right? And if somebody asks me for my autographs, I'm gonna smear that ink pad on my head, and I'm just going to set down whatever the picture they wanted me to sign, and I'm going to headbutt the table as hard as I can. Like, and that's going to be my signature from now on. I want to see someone try to replicate that.
I'll have to send you a video about how they about their process, because I have seen it. I just can't recall off the top of my head.
So one last question I have. Well, actually, let me get to this one from the audience before I get to my question here. Cosmin Spira wants to know, what are your thoughts about museum collections from ancient civilizations or donations from collectors and families?
I like them.
It's a credit to society. All right, let's leave it there. We're getting late here. I have one more question. So, totally hypothetical situation here, based on a true story. So, Everfree Northwest Brony convention a couple of years ago. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Brony scene, but the director of the show, Jim Miller, was also the original voice actor for one of the villains, King Sombra. Are you familiar with any of these people or characters?
Sure. I have a baseline knowledge.
Okay, so then you know that King Sombra has this crown that he wears that sort of just wraps around his head, right? And and all this armor. So I also do videos on my channel where I dress up as King Sombra with like full plate armor, and I have a crown replica that I made. Now here's what I did. I went to Everfree Northwest and I went to Jim Miller, who was the original voice, and I would say the better of the two voices that were, and I asked him to sign one of the pictures. It was a poster of Jim Miller from Everfree Northwest, but what I had him do is I had him sign just his name on the back of it, so that what I could do is I could hang the picture, but that when I was ready, I could scan that signature into the computer and laser etch it onto my crown that I made for King Sombra. Because if I had him sign with a permanent marker my crown onto the stainless steel, then that signature wouldn't have made the trip home, right? So now the hypothetical. Let's say for whatever reason Jim Miller becomes the next Stan Lee, right? And his signature becomes crazy valuable. And we're several years down the line here. I'm, for whatever reason, not doing King Sombra videos anymore. I want to get rid of this crown for a few bucks. Is that signature worth anything?
No.
No? All right. I was expecting a little bit more of an elaboration. I just got stonewalled. Thank you.
I equate that to if you go up to a celebrity, have them sign your arm, and then you go over and get that tattooed.
Yeah, but I can't. I mean, right? But I could. But I can't resell that tattoo unless I, want to make some really disturbing leather.
Well, it can be done.
Actually, yeah, there are some people, some funeral homes that will actually do such a thing. If you have like a very nice tattoo and you want it framed for your next of kin, they do have a method to remove it from your back, have it framed, and you can frame that piece of flesh.
Dark.
Very.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a whole other different topic.
Yeah,
but
I've never heard of that one, but wow.
Alrighty then. So Jim Miller's autograph engraved onto that he gave me that I then engraved onto my crown is no good. Got it.
if he did the engraving himself, that would be different.
Oh, Not impossible, highly impractical.
Just saying.
I don't think TSA, I don't think the jackboots at TSA would allow me to to bring my acid etching onto the plane.
Probably not.
Alrighty then. And so yeah, that's all the questions there. Okay, so here's what we do now. I'm going to go around the table here. Just tell me, if you enjoyed the conversation tonight, and tell me one thing you learned, if anything. Let's start with our guest tonight. So Irving and Vicky, have you learned anything tonight, and did you have fun?
Oh, we had fun.
Good.
Did we learn anything?
If anything, they taught us.
They certainly taught me. They certainly taught me. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pin anything that I learned because I got my mind swirling with things. But yeah. Thank you very much for coming on nonetheless. DJ, how about you? Did you have fun and did you learn anything?
Oh, this was plenty fun. Getting to talk to a couple of collectors has been nice. I learned I have a new special to go watch on Amazon.
All right, sounds good. And Cruiser, did we get the most out of your suggestion?
I'd say so. This did kind of confirm a fear of mine where, again, I really want to see if I can just come down to whether or not a personalized autograph was really worth less or more. The truth is, it's too subjective.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, that was my big takeaway from this. And also the fact that even replica parts for like toys, just so you can finish off your Optimus Prime, yeah, those are considered a big no-no. I didn't think it was a big deal because hey, you're just trying to make this thing look fully functional. But if you do want, and it's one thing if you just want to play with it, but if you're trying to get money back from it at some point, nope, you gotta stay away from it.
And I think ultimately what I learned is don't get into collecting, kids. Invest in gold.
Buy gold, buy!
Save your money. Invest in gold and real estate.
All I can say for you, Brony, is that it can go in either way.
Of course, anything can. I'm well aware of that. I'm just being a troll at this point.
Yes, you are. Irving, thank you so much for joining us and for teaching a lot. And be sure to check out their convention, guys. I've been to it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's right. Tell me again about the convention. I'll go put a link to the website in the description.
Absolutely. It's UltraCon of South Florida. Is located in the West Palm Beach Expo Center, August 27th and 28th. Right now we have 17 celebrities. We have Kevin Nash, which is also Super Shredder. We have 7 Dragon Ball Z celebrities. Like they've done One Piece. I mean, we have Martin Clever. A whole bunch of celebrities. You visit www.ultraconcity.com and it will have all the information there.
Not ultraconofsouthflorida.com?
Yeah. But either one. But
okay.
UltraCon City is shorter, and it goes to the same website.
Okay. Yeah, I looked it up real quick, and ultraconofsouthflorida.com is the first one that came up. So if that works, I'll put that in the description.
Thank you.
So thanks to everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed listening to the conversation as well.
Yep.
I hope you
Thanks for having us.
Yep, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for coming on. I know it was kind of last minute. We dragged you on here. If you have any topics out there in the audience that you would like to hear us talk about, you can make suggestions to me through email or through Twitter, anything, or Tumblr, anything like that. If you would like to get on the show, I would love to have you. We just need to get you on the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You can get into the Discord server where you can be on the show. And I see the topic suggestions in there get priority. You can also pick the games that we do for the gaming stream bi-weekly there. Very grateful to all of my generous supporters on Patreon, especially the $10 and up tier. That's this big long list of Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, Kyle Christensen, DJ Skywalker, Rein-Kun, Morningstar, Pony Cordero, who was with us tonight, and DJ Skywalker is with us tonight. QFlash, Billy Henline, Alden, MacManx, EasyModeGamer, Kanto, Acrylic VA, Zoroark 720, and Dark Malcontent, author of the Metaverse series. I almost got through that without stuttering. Be sure to check out all their links in the description if you want to hang out with me some more. Then next Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be doing a video game stream. I don't know what we're playing yet, but it's sure to be fun because I suck at video games. Have a wonderful night. Everybody have a good weekend. Stay safe. God bless. And we